What's up, everybody? Welcome to the White Sox Did a What podcast, where we discuss all things White Sox and then some. It's me, Harry, your favorite host, followed by my partner in crime, Jay. What's up? What's up?
What's going on? How we feeling?
Ready to talk shit about what the White Sox did this week or last week, whichever way you want to go. How did
Yeah.
they disappoint us this week?
Well, they disappointed us with that Dylan Cease trade. I mean, just off rip. It was
Facts.
literally a week ago today. So last Wednesday is when it all happened and went down. Probably
I feel like
somewhere around the
it was
same
the
time
day
of
right
night.
after. Facts.
So I mean, just review it, right? So they traded Dylan Cease to the Padres. Neither one of us had the Padres as our top team for where he would wind up.
At all.
So they pulled the wool over our eyes and shocked us with that move to the Padres. But kudos to San
Is
Diego for
there
pulling
a
it off.
personal relationship with Sox and Padres? I feel like there's been a lot of big names traded back and
A
forth
personal
between the
relationship
White
in
Sox
terms
and
of the
Padres.
Sox always lose the trade to the Padres,
I mean, we did get
and
Jake Peavy.
this has
We
continued
get
the
we
trade,
got him 1 year.
the trend. Man,
We
stop.
lost it to
We
Thief.
traded we traded Tatis for James Shields. Like, don't piss me off all over again because I don't want to go back down that rabbit hole. You know what I'm saying? So
Facts.
let's keep it pushing. But so they traded Dylan Cease. They got back Drew Thorpe, Jairo
Right-handed pitcher.
Iriarte, right-handed pitcher. Both of them right-handed pitchers. Iriarte is a right-handed pitcher as well. They got back Steven Wilson, who's a bullpen pitcher,
Another right-handed pitcher.
and they got back and they got back the last guy, Samuel Zavala.
Correct.
Um, Personally speaking, when you trade a number one starting ace pitcher, a guy who was in the Cy Young race 2 years ago, not this past season, but the year before, I would expect a greater return. I would expect higher prospect capital. We didn't get any of their top five prospects from the Padres.
Nope.
I don't even think we got one of their top 10 prospects.
No, we
The
got
guys that we
number
got back,
five. We got um
he was like number six. Thorpe is the highest rated prospect that we got from them, I believe.
okay. Because
He
Zavala's like
was with the
seven.
Yankees. The Yankees shipped him to the Padres to get back. What's my man name? Juan Soto.
Soto.
And then yeah. And then the Padres shipped him on over to us to get Cease. Um, but when I go through it and I look at um, not his stats because I'm not gonna go through just a whole stat breakdown. But when I go and I look at his pitching profile, fastball is probably within 90 to 95 miles an hour. So he's not throwing with a lot of heat to just knock you away. Um, he's not shocking anybody with his velocity or his speed. Relies on a changeup. Relies on having a lot of control and command. So that profile immediately jumps out to me, and the name that comes to mind for me is Lucas Giolito.
Hmm.
So that's where my
That's
mind
not
went.
too bad.
Not
If we got
not a ton
Giolito,
of
that's not the
velocity,
worst.
heavily relying on a changeup, heavily relying on command and location.
Does he have
Doesn't
control?
translate to being. He seems to have it, yeah.
Because
But that
Giolito's issue
profile
is it was on and off his control.
on and off at times, he give a lot of walks, stuff like that. This guy, I don't know if he's gonna have an issue with walks or whatnot, but he doesn't scream top end starter to me. He doesn't scream a number one or number two rotation piece to me. When I look at him, he looks like kind of what Giolito was, unless Giolito was perfectly on. When he was perfectly on, yeah, you're looking at number one starter stuff when he was perfectly on and dialed all the way in. But on more occasions than not, he'd be your third or fourth starter in your rotation. That's kind of what he really settled in to be over the course of his White Sox tenure, and that's kind of what he settled
How
in to be anywhere else he is.
how tall was Giolito? Six what
Giolito
one?
was about 6'5", 6'6". No. Giolito
He
was a
was.
tall guy.
Oh,
Yeah,
I didn't
about
realize he was
six
that
five,
tall.
six six. Thorpe's not
Okay.
that tall, but again, just the pitching profile. to me translate to him being a Lucas Giolito type. Maybe he's better. Maybe he's a little worse. We'll have to wait and find out. His projection currently is that he'll be up sometime this year. I wouldn't anticipate that being super early. Like I wouldn't expect to see him in April or May. Um, Potentially maybe June if they feeling really thirsty. Um, but I wouldn't expect to see him super early. But that's what we're looking at to me. I mean, again, feels like a Lucas Giolito type. We're trading away a better pitcher in Cease to get a somewhat lesser version of a Lucas Giolito that we had already had whom we traded away. That's the way I see that piece. Iriarte, I'm gonna give you another comparison with Iriarte. Um, Hyro basically has he's the flamethrower. He's the guy who can touch 100. He's the guy whose fastball will sit between 95 to 100. He can get the triple digits for you, but he's the one that's going to have the command issues and the control problems. He's the one that the ball might get away from him every now and again. He might miss his spots. Fastball might be a little straight as an arrow at times. Translates to me similar to who we'll talk about later, a Michael Kopech, a guy who's he can throw with a lot of heat. He can throw with his a slider in there as well. And I'll also give you another comparison, Carlos Rodon. Again, guys that could hit triple digits, have a dope slider, command control may not always be there. You might end up having walks that you don't want to see, and you might end up having problems. So the Hyro Iriarte move again, I'm not a major fan of that piece either. I don't like who they profile out to be. Again, I'm not a baseball scout. I'm a White Sox fan. So the way I see it, that's who they translate to me from my eyes from afar. Just from what I've read, just from what I've reviewed from them online. Maybe they could both show up here. Again, he's also a guy projected to be up this year, 2024. Iriarte, the Padres were initially preparing him to be a reliever for them because they were trying to make their playoff push last year. So they were building him in their pen to come up for them last year. They shipped him off to us. We don't need him in the pen. So the Sox will probably try to put him back on the road to being a starter. But he translates to a guy like a Michael Kopech or a Carlos Rodon type to me.
Wait, why don't we need him in the pen? I
Because
feel like we need everyone everywhere.
I mean,
Hell,
yeah,
if
we
he
need
can get
everybody.
the assistant manager role too, get him in there. We need
Yeah,
everybody.
yeah, we need everybody. We need managers, we need GMs, we need every position on the diamond. That's all legit. I see them pushing him towards the starting rotation because, and again, we'll touch on this later. The starting rotation has become very diluted. It's very weak right now. There's not a lot of guys you can really count on as starters. So you need people to eat innings. And if you call him up eventually, they'll probably just give him a shot as a starter and just see how it works out. If it doesn't work out as a starter for him, you can always push him back down to the bullpen. So from their thought process, no harm, no foul. If it works, it works. If it doesn't work, fall back on plan B, make him a relief pitcher.
I feel like this whole thing is blanketed around Thorpe, and then anyone else that pans out is just a great bonus because I mean I haven't researched him much, but in minor league he got like what 11, 12 strikeouts a game. Went Did he go undefeated or did he have a loss? I feel
Thorpe's
like he
had
went like
some
16-0.
Thorpe's had some good outings. I want to say at one point he was named minor league pitcher of the year. I think that was just this past minor league season last year. I think he had that
Yeah, it was
acclaim.
something.
Dylan Cease was another guy who was named minor league pitcher of the year, so they have that in common. But yeah, I do believe
Yeah, we got
that
we got a minor league pitcher there.
yeah, I mean, but that's the minors, right? I mean,
True.
he'll
My
probably
only
be
issue,
he'll
he did come up. He did play in spring training, not with us. I think Padres, and he got lit the fuck up. So that, but
I
I
mean
mean, it's
that
spring
happens.
training.
It's spring
But
training. Guys are working on stuff, so that doesn't concern me that much from a pitching standpoint. Um, but again, he's gonna be in Charlotte. He's gonna have time to work on some things before they call him up. So I'm not too concerned with that piece of it. But he did seem like and feel like the centerpiece of the Cease trade to me. That they built this trade
That's
around
absolutely
Drew Thorpe, and they layered everything else behind him. They picked Jairo Iriarte behind him because they wanted people to start in their rotation and eat up innings, and they felt like those two guys could do that. Steven Wilson again he's currently a major league reliever, so 100% a bullpen guy. And then the Zavala kid that I mentioned, I think he's right now going to be in high A in the minors. So don't even expect to see him in the majors this year. Probably not
anytime.
even until the end of next year. Yeah, no time soon for that guy. So you really you traded what was once a Cy Young potential pitcher in Dylan Cease and a frontline number one starter for essentially two middle of the line or back end starters for you and a bullpen arm in Wilson, who you're probably going to flip at the deadline this year anyway. That's how I view this whole
Facts.
trade. So, I mean, if we're putting grades on it, I'd grade it a D. If we're putting flat out grades on it, I would have waited on this and not made this move and either forced the Yankees to put more into their offer, or I would have just held on to him. Like, hold on to him, go take him into the season, pitch him during the year, trust that he won't get hurt. Maybe they had a fear that he might get hurt, um, and that would crater his value a bit if he suffered some serious injury or setback. So maybe that was their primary concern. But I would have kept him going into the year because personally, I'm not satisfied with that return. Clearly, the White Sox and Chris Getz were excuse me satisfied with that return that they got.
I think Chris is going for cost savings, value moves. He's just trying to cut
Always comes
costs
down to
down.
the cost savings with Jerry, don't it?
Yeah, because this just made no sense, and we just got way too many prospects. I think we're gonna see a lot more move. I honestly won't be shocked if Aloy gets traded before the season starts because of how
Well, the
injury
season
prone he
starts
is.
next week. I don't foresee Aloy getting traded before the season starts. I mean, the
I
first
do.
game is next week, so I don't see that
Get him
happening.
out. Get him out before the game starts. Just because if you can trade Cease right now, like you can't say now they have patience to wait on Aloy, but they couldn't wait on Cease. I can see an Aloy Jimenez trade happen. I don't think it'll be if our guy gets injured, let's trade for Aloy. I think it'll be Sox are actively shopping him, and they're waiting on teams to pick him up. But I think with I don't know who's left. I know Blake Snell just got signed to. 31 million a year for Blake Snell is good money. But I think like Jordan Montgomery is still available. I can see the Rangers going after Loy. We still got
Okay.
Brandon Belt. Um, I thought we were gonna get Mike Clevenger, but I forgot what team I root for, the Sox. So that's not gonna happen at cost. So I could see once the free agent market's locked up and all these bigger names have been signed and they understand what room they have left in their team cap, I could see Aloy being more of an inquiry like, all right, we've got these prospects for you because right now you need some big bats. Aloy's great, but I think the issue is also what team needs big bats and wants to make Aloy a DH because Aloy doesn't want to be a DH, but he's so injury prone playing everything else.
100% injury prone, and DH is where his career should be, and that's where he should try to maximize all of his talents is at DH. Um, it's just the smartest thing for him to do going forward because playing in the outfield, playing in everyday position, not the best look. Um, Give me your grade on the Cease trade though. What would you give it?
Oh, I hate baseball trades. I don't understand them. Baseball is the only sport where they trade minor leaguers for pros without trading any actual draft picks. Every baseball trade, I always give an F because I don't understand the farm system enough to say, hey, this is a great trade. Oh my god! But I give it an F just because we traded Cease for another what should be good prospect pitcher, and we added a bunch of people I don't know to it. I don't know what it's gonna do. I'm not the biggest fan of minor leaguers. I never there's never been a minor leaguer that got called up that's ever been an MVP candidate that I can think of. I never see them have any impact in the playoffs. It seems like minor leaguers are moved for 2, 3 years down the line. But who knows if I'm dead by then? Like, I don't care about minor leaguers, but that's just me. But I understand for baseball purists, they're gold. For people like me that never gave a shit about minor leaguers, that wish we would spend money like the Yankees on big names already, it's
Yeah.
just pointless if you want to win now. Minor leaguers don't ever seem the way to go. But here we are. It's been haunting Pittsburgh Pirates for years. I feel like they've been the farm team that everyone uses to just grab their stars, and then bam, they have a future contender. Which I don't understand why Pittsburgh allows that when they get so many great players that come out their farm system. Dodgers, for some odd reason, found a way to develop an everlasting great farm system and sign these big names. Why can't we do that?
I mean, well, yeah, the Dodgers are a model franchise in this whole thing.
Yeah, they're
And
cheat code.
we can't do that because we got Jerry Reinsdorf. But um, to keep it pushing, what are we looking at in terms of our starting rotation, though? Because now that Cease is gone, you kind of stuck with a starting rotation that's a skeleton crew. Um,
Well,
the
Garrett
the
Crochet,
opening day starter, right? The opening day starter is Garrett Crochet, who
who
has
has been the best
literally
pitcher in spring training, but hasn't pitched over 3 innings. He is
he's
going to start.
literally never started a major league baseball game
Facts.
ever, and yet he's the opening day starter for the Chicago White Sox.
How
Again,
many games in baseball? 162?
yeah.
Is it possible to go 0 and 162? I don't think that's possible. But
Nah, bro,
last
it ain't.
episode,
That's not gonna happen. We're not gonna lose every
y'all
single
said
game. But
100 losses. I'm thinking 120, 130. It's bad right now.
well, I
I, I'm
mean,
I'm
yeah,
ex-
sure, the Sox are on pace to lose over 100 games. That could potentially happen. But when you start looking at who's going to start, Garrett Crochet is your opening day starter. He's probably pitched. The man has probably pitched 100 innings in his entire professional career. I'm including minors. I'm including playoff appearances, and I'm including spring training. He's probably pitched a total of 100 innings.
he's gonna
That's
get lit
how
up.
that's how slim the pickings are that they had to turn to this guy.
Like there's
So
fans that can't even pronounce his last name right. Like, wait, that Crockett guy? That's
I mean,
how little he's
Chicagoans can't
pitched.
pronounce a damn thing. Like, come on now.
That's true.
Chi
Garrett
Chicagoans
Crockett.
change everybody's name. Like
We're starting
Caleb
that
Williams,
Crockett guy.
I've heard people call Caleb Williams Caleb and Caleb. Like Justin Fields was Justin Feld. Mitch Trubisky was Mitch Trubinsky. Like I've
You know,
heard all
if
sorts of names.
we can sign Justin Fields to the White Sox, that would bring up anticipation. The seats will be packed. I didn't realize how many fans of
Yo,
Justin Fields were
you
like
just
that in
you
Chicago.
just cracked the code. You just cracked the code.
We,
Like
we sign him
bring
to the outfield. We are
bring
good to
Justin back.
go. Let's go.
Bring
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 Justin back.
Justin back. Make him a
Oh,
two-sport athlete. Deion Sanders.
sign Justin and Caleb
Bring
and
Justin
really
back to
unite the
Chicago.
city.
It's
Man,
going down. It's going down.
boy, the South
We got
Side
a
will be
whole
so
reason to
packed.
watch every single game. Guarantee rate is going to be full to the rafters. Like yo,
Actually, you know
I
what?
think
I,
you
I,
just
I
cracked the
forgot the
code.
fan base you're talking about. If Sox lose, they gonna blame everybody but Justin. Like, oh man, if only the catcher caught the ball when Justin. Never mind. Everybody's gonna get blamed but Justin. Never mind. It's already bad enough here.
That's petty shade right there. That's petty shade.
Oh no, everyone's gonna get blamed. Oh, why the Sox lost. Oh, if only the pitcher
No,
got 14 Ks.
hey, look,
Right.
we gotta blame the manager. We gotta blame the ownership. We definitely gotta blame the catcher. I
Absolutely.
mean, everybody got to
All
get
right.
the
So
heat except Justin Fields. Now, come on now. What's really good?
fact.
What we doing?
All right. Not to take too long on this topic. It's really not worth going down the names, but we
I
start with
mean,
Crochet,
so
and
I
then
went through the
the
names, right?
final
So you got Crochet as your opening day starter. You
fact.
got Eric Fetty as a rotation piece. Michael Soroka
Absolutely.
as a rotation piece. Nick
He's going to be
Nastrini.
our best pitcher.
Yo, I don't
What
I don't even know who
Nastrini
Nick
isn't officially in
Nastrini
the
is.
rotation yet. He's from
He's
minors.
gonna
He
be
didn't
in the
officially make the
rotation.
rotation yet,
He's
but
gonna
he'll
be in the
only be in it
rotation,
because
bro.
Kopech got kicked down, and no one knows why. So he's gonna take what should have been Kopech's spot, and no one has any idea what's going on with Kopech and why he
Well,
keeps
I
walking
mean,
everybody.
Kopech again. He's always had control and command issues. His fastball is lightning. I mean, dude can throw it 103, 104. Like he's got ridiculous. He's got a ridiculous fastball, but sometimes it doesn't have a lot of movement. It's straight as an arrow, so it can be timed up on. Once you get used to the velocity, I mean, it's not gonna have a lot of movement to it. It's on a straight line.
That's crazy.
Guys can
So
catch
you
up to
being
it in the
used to
majors.
103 mile
Yeah,
per hour fastball
look,
is insane.
these guys are professional athletes, man. They professional hitters. They see this stuff. I mean, yeah, I could never hit a 100-mile-an-hour fastball, but when you in the majors and you playing in the big leagues and you standing up there enough times, you're gonna get used to that velocity, and you're gonna be able to catch up to that speed eventually. And once you square it up, it's going out of the ballpark. That's part of Kopech's problem. And that's part of the why he's going to the bullpen. Now, personally, I would just keep Kopech in the starting rotation simply because you don't have a lot of starters. Again, Garrett Crochet has never started a game ever in his professional career with the White Sox. He's never started a game. He's barely pitched over 100 innings in his professional career. Kopech, you can at least point to and say, yeah, he's been a starter. He may struggle, but you can at least say he's been a starter. He's done the job. And again, if he fails or continues to have bad struggles, you can always move him back down. They got Tuki Toussaint is going to be in their rotation. Like
He has
these
been
names,
terrible.
the- again, these names, these people, these aren't any household names. These aren't anyone. None of these guys are people that you're going to look at and say, I can't wait for that Tuki Toussaint start. I can't wait for Nick
I,
Nastrini to go out there and shut it
I,
down
I
and strike
actually
out the
I actually
side.
can't. I'm actually excited about Tuki Toussaint because I've
Man,
never
stop.
seen someone so bad. So I'm really excited to see how many runs he gives up in 2 innings. Over or under 11. It
Like
is bad right now.
I would have legitimately just kept Kopech in the rotation just because you need arms. You don't have a lot of arms, but they shut it down immediately. So I don't know what the full story is behind why they were so quick to send him to the pen. I mean, because they
Well, he's
basically
gonna. I
announced
mean,
it
he
right
did
after they did the
he
trade.
did middle relief last year, which I wasn't a fan of,
Sure,
and he
but
did he
last
did
year you
okay
had
in it.
more arms. You
That
had
is
legitimate
fact.
starting pitchers. You had Cease, you had Giolito, you had Lance Lynn. Like you had Clevenger. Like you had guys that were legitimate starting pitchers last season. You don't have real legitimate starting pitchers this year, whether they've had good spring trainings or not. Nestrini's had a fairly decent spring training. Cool. Crochet's had a good spring training. That's cool. That's all great. That's all well and good. But when the season kicks off and you got to take the ball every fifth day, and when Atlanta rolls in here week one, you know what I'm saying? Like they're gonna open the season against teams like the Braves. Like it's not gonna be easy work going up against some of these heavy hitters. So
It's gonna get bad.
good luck to you for a guy that's never started a game in the
How, how
majors.
much how much do you think the insurance money payout is if White Sox Stadium burns down?
Hey yo, I
I'm
don't want to
thinking
know.
if we burn it down, that'll be enough to buy every. We'll be the Yankees. We'll have enough to get Soto. We'll have enough to sign anybody.
Who's we? Who's we? Yo, yeah. Hey, I don't know
All right.
who we is. I don't know who we is. I'm not included in the we part of this.
He's our Chinese manager. No, but you know what? The benefit of this season is there's going to be a lot of good drinking games coming, and I can't wait. How many runs are given up? Take a shot. How
Man,
many 0-3 series we go? Take a shot. It's gonna be an interesting season. I hope this turns into a what was that first Red Sox championship? Not the one that came out of nowhere. Not the early 2000s. It was like 2010, where like they came off like the worst season ever. Then they got a
I
new
mean, we had a couple of
manager.
those.
Yeah, and then just like won the next, and everyone was like, "Who?" But the Rangers just did it, and so did the Diamondbacks, and which is probably motivation gets to seeing like, wait, they were the worst record last year, and then they made it to the finals the next year. So I
That's what
think
he
Gets
on.
they
That's his
can pull
goal.
one of those. That has to be. It's the only thing that makes sense.
Terry, didn't you say last episode that you're not sure that the Sox aren't going to have a winning record?
Say that one more time.
He
Aren't
said he
didn't you
calling
say
you on your BS right now.
didn't you say last episode the Sox will? You're not sure that the Sox won't have a winning record?
No, I'm not saying they're going to have a winning record. I'm saying maybe Getz is looking at that as motivation because the two teams that made the finals last year had the worst records the year before. I already said earlier in this podcast that like, can we go 162? So there's no winning record coming. I'm just saying maybe that's Getz's motivation because
Tough motivation.
recent history shows you don't necessarily need the most expensive roster to make and win the pennant, but majority of history says be the Dodgers or Yankees. So I just don't know what the plan is here because usually, even though I'm not the biggest with the minor leagues, I do realize that when teams do trade away their stars, it's because they have a minor league killer ready. But we seem to be trading away their stars without a minor league replacement and just getting their minor league equivalents, which I don't think is a good strategy. But what do I know about baseball? So whatever. It's all stupid
Well, I mean,
to
we got
me. Baseball thing.
the plan is 100% a full rebuild and tear down. That's obviously what the plan is that gets is put it into place.
Facts.
Um, anytime you have to do a full rebuild and a full tear down is going to be a lot of lean years. Um, but that's where we're at with it. So, how do you navigate that if you're the manager? Because Pedro Gaffaro, whom personally I don't think they ever should have hired, but here we are once again. Pedro
Good old
Gaffaro,
Pedro.
I don't think is the right man for the job from jump. And when you have to navigate what could be a potentially 100 loss season coming off of last year, which wasn't good either. Man, look, those press conferences after every game, those updates after long road trips can definitely wear upon you. And if they're wearing on the manager, they're going to wear on the players. And so, at what point do guys check out? Right when your starting pitchers are Nick Nastrini, Tuki Toussaint, Michael Soroka, and Garrett Crochet, and they're going out there and getting lit up by the Braves, the Twins, the Blue Jays, the Yankees, and you go on a road trip and you get smoked and give up double digit runs in every single week, every single game, every other day. That can wear on everybody. Can you stay locked in and can you continue to put forth a valiant effort on the field? Is something we're going to have to
I,
keep an eye on.
I think there's different ways to go about this. My recommendations, because I don't see us winning, and I don't think you do either. It's safe to say maybe White Sox should consult the Cubs. Like, hey, you guys have been losing for a long time. Like, what are your secrets to stay focused losing? And then also too, it's like, how do you stay focused being lovable losers and not cheat on your wives and girlfriends? That's another thing. That can be a locker room distraction because what's how does the saying go? Idle hands, devils time, something. Just
And,
there's gonna be a whole lot of BS with a lot of losing that I am just not ready for as a Sox fan. But tickets will be cheap, so can't
I
wait
mean,
to
well, yeah, tickets are always pretty affordable.
facts.
That's never been an
I
issue.
hope they stay that way. Yeah. We don't need to talk about the stadium moving. We did that last week, but
Oh, definitely.
it's going to be an interesting season. I think a lot of these players, once we get our losing record, we're going to lose like at least half of the next 2 years. So the stars are going to be kept.
You're
Vaughn.
you're painting a really rosy picture right there.
I mean,
You're, you're
we're not. I hope we're not losing Robert. I doubt we're losing Vaughn, but none of these are Getz's guys. So is it Getz just
no,
doing
I
a
think
full
they're all
rebuild?
Getz's guys. I think they're
Vaughn
all
was
Getz's
Vaughn.
guys. Getz was in charge of player development, minor league scouting. So all of these guys who have
I
come
keep
through
forgetting
the
about that.
current
Yep.
minor league
No, you're right.
system are all his
You're,
guys.
you're
Robert
right.
was an
In my head, I
international
got him
signing, but he
Kansas
still
City.
came through the system. Yeah, Vaughn
Yeah. No,
was
you're right. You're right.
drafted while he was in charge. So they're all his guys.
Oh, so then we are keeping the stars anyway then.
Well, I mean, look, Getz hasn't really commented on Robert's status. So if somebody comes knocking on the door or picking up the phone saying, "Hey, what do you want for Luis Robert?" I can't put it past Chris Getz to keep him. I mean, he might just decide, yeah, let me go ahead and trade him. If the prospect return is great enough, he might decide to trade him too, since we're already in the full rebuild. And since your starting rotation is a bunch of guys I can't pick out of a lineup, I mean, you never know what could happen next. But before
We
we
got Maldonado.
start shipping more guys out of town, yeah, Maldonado as well. He could.
Maldonado is my age at 38. He was never going to be the long-term starter. Corey Lee, he's coming up from the minors, and I think he's supposed to eventually take over that center spot. But I think what's his face? Max Stassi. Max Stassi is probably backing up Maldonado because Maldonado will probably be a part-time catcher. I doubt he's a full-time catcher. Let me log in.
Catch is a weak position. Like it really
It
has
is.
been a weak position for the White Sox for quite some time. How are you evaluating potential free agents though? Like, A, do you look at the White Sox as a potential destination for free agents because you look at the landscape right now, you look at where the Sox currently stand, what free agents out there are going to say, yeah, I'm ready to go to the south side of Chicago to play for what could potentially be a 100-loss team?
This
Right?
season, none.
This season, okay. So, but are there some out there at all that they should target? Especially again, this rotation is weak. Could there be? We already mentioned Mike Clevenger earlier. Could we potentially see a Mike Clevenger reunion with the White Sox back on the south side if the money is right and the timing is right? Because you need people to eat innings. You need some guys to come in and fill out this rotation. Like I said, you start getting into some of these series and these games against some of these teams and you're getting lit up and the Tukis and the Sorokas aren't pulling their weight and the Crochets aren't pulling their weight. You need some guys to be able to slide in and eat up some innings and give you some professional outings and not torch through your bullpen because your starters are getting blown off the diamond. So
if
are there
we
any
do
free
trade
agents out there?
this year, no, but I could see stuff next year happening depending on who we trade. Like if we lose Luis Robert, we lose Eloy Jimenez, that means we'll
We
need
keeping Luis Robert. Robert not going
you
nowhere,
sure?
bro.
You
No,
sure?
I'm not sure at all.
I'm not sure. I have no idea what we're doing. I was like, are you sure? Because I have no idea anymore. I don't see Mike Clevenger. I do see someone picking him up a contender and making him fifth in their rotation. I just don't see Sox shelling out the money, knowing what their record is, and making him first in our rotation. Because if we're going to tank, let's tank. But if we're not, why are we signing free agents that can help versus free agents that can just fill a role?
Well, I think he would be a guy who fills a role, not someone who's going to immediately elevate your rotation, but just someone who can fill a role and make sure that you have someone to eat innings. I mean, there's a lot of innings that are going to be exposed. Having somebody who can come in and just at least give you 150, 175 innings just to eat throughout the course of the year could be valuable, whether that's Clevenger or someone else. So I wouldn't completely shoot it down, but you are going to have to, guarantee a decent chunk of change to somebody.
I think Sox do what we're used to doing and be consistent and pick up older guys out their prime or about to be out their prime post 30, like the history of the Sox shows. I wouldn't be shocked if we pick up a Joey Gallo. Their MO. So Joey Gallo, who's 32, 33, I could see us picking him up. JD Davis, who's 32, 33. I could see us getting him just to fill veterans. I think that's the goal for free agents. It's not all stars. It's not guys that came out that are in their prime. It'll be just out of prime veterans that can do their job to maybe even mentor the younger guys, but just only during the season and not the start of it. I think that's what'll happen. It'll be locker room guys because when a team's too young like the White Sox,
Yeah.
which I think we pretty much are, except our catcher, you turn into the Pirates where it's just I'm not gonna say a bunch of kids, but there's no real veteran presence outside of Robert, and outside of that, everybody's kind of super young, honestly, or just I don't know. I don't like any of it, but I could see us signing a bunch of veterans to just kind of mentor a lot of the different guys at younger positions, the Gavin Sheets, the Vaughns, the Luis Roberts, the what's this way? Let me Google the lineup. Google the chart. Yeah, the Corey Lees, the how old is Gavin Sheets? Gavin Sheets is not that young.
Gavin Sheets not an old
Nicky
guy.
Lowe, yeah, he's not an old guy. Danny Mendick is pretty. He might be kind of old actually. I didn't realize how old Danny Mendick was. Andrew Benintendi. Dominic Fletcher. He made the roster. I didn't think he made the
Wait,
lineup
Andrew
except for
who?
Dominic Fletcher.
Andrew what?
An-
What I say about
Andrew
Chicagoans butchering names, bro? What did you call him? What did you
Andrew
say?
Andrew Benintendi or Andrew. Hold on, Andrew Benintendi, or is
That's
it
still wrong, but
Benintendi?
okay.
Close,
Benintendi.
close enough. Benintendi. He's actually the only reason why Eloy Jimenez isn't starting at right left field because apparently Eloy is the only left fielder backing up Benintendi. But Sheets is also just I guess they got Sheets backing up everybody. Even though Sheets should be starting, they just have him as the backup to first base, the backup to left field, the backup to right field. The only one backing up center field is Dominic Fletcher. Yeah, it's going to be an
Scary
interesting
hours.
season. We're going to have to be a defense. It seems like this they're built on clearly not pitching. It's defense and small ball. It won't be heavy bats. It'll act. Ironically, we fired what's the old drunk manager that we just had 2 years ago?
Tony La Russa.
Yeah, we fired Tony La Russa. Well,
Well,
he
he
didn't really get
technically
fired.
he
Yeah,
resigned. He
he
stepped away
retired.
because of health issues.
Right. Tony La Russa resigned just to have a lineup that fits kind of his style of small ball. Because there's not really any heavy hitters here except Robert and Eloy. And this is really a small ball, lack of pitching lineup, which I think a Tony La Russa in prime, like this is what he does. Like a bunch of off ball pitchers. If you can get great D and just small ball your way through, you can do a lot of damage. But I don't know what Pedro's style of anything is. No one really does. I think he's just kind of learning as we are. So it's a project.
Yeah, it's definitely a project. Um, there's going to be a lot of work to do throughout the course of the year to support what you have in a young pitching staff. Well, I can't even say that it's young. You have a young opening day starter, but a lot of these other guys aren't necessarily all young pitchers. They're just not a lot of
Facts.
guys that you would typically count on to carry the load for an entire season. Um, but I mean, that's where the White Sox are at. That's the lane that they've chosen currently. Um, and that's where we have to keep an eye on throughout the course of the year to see if there's any growth or any development in these pitchers. And again, what I do fully expect is that at some point this year, whether that's June, July, they're going to call up some of these young pitchers that they just got back from the Dylan Cease trade. So you're going to see, like I mentioned earlier, you're going to see the Jairo Iriartes, you're going to see the Drew Thorpe, who was a centerpiece of that deal. You're going to see those guys come in and potentially be in this rotation, potentially eat up some innings, go through their ups and downs and their struggles. Because again, these guys haven't been in the majors yet, so they're gonna have their struggles. They're gonna have some days where they get lit up, and we're gonna have to see whether they bounce back from that quickly or not. So it's definitely something to keep an eye on there. Um, so is going to be key. Another minor leaguer that I have my eye on, I mentioned this last week, Colson Montgomery, shortstop. I believe he's currently trending to be in AAA. I'd expect to see him this year as well, potentially be on the major league team. So there's a couple of guys that we can look to. Again, they're prospects. Prospects could be hit or miss. They could be good or bad. They could definitely have some times where they fall flat on their face, but we'll see what happens with it though. What do
How do you
you?
feel about Cespedes?
I'm not a big fan of his, to be honest. I don't
Why?
really. Why? I just don't trust. I don't see a lot of potential. I don't see the ceiling being very high with Cespedes. I feel like he could have sort of a flash in the pan moments like his brother did. Like his brother had some moments when he was lighting it up, and then he had a lot of other moments where it's kind of like, yeah, strike out, get him up out of here. Like I don't really see it with him. There's gonna need to be a lot of growth there with him. Um, he's not somebody I'm counting on to do anything for the White Sox this year, for the major league team. I'm not even really thinking about Cespedes like that right now currently. Maybe he proves me wrong. Maybe he gets called up early. Maybe they see something. Maybe he truly grows and develops and something happens and he pops. I'm not expecting it this year, not at all.
I know the biggest issue with the White Sox over the years is that we couldn't hit right-handed pitchers for some unknown reason. Even though most pitchers are right-handed, we had a really, really big issue of hitting right-handed pitchers to the point where it's damn near comedic. I think we were the worst ranked team at hitting right-handed pitchers. So I also think maybe they're just maybe that if that's a weakness that they fix this season, that'll be progress to me because it is embarrassing when you can't like left-handed pitchers should be what's hard to hit, not right-handed pitchers. So if we can fix that stat and not be the worst team against right-handed pitchers, like middle of the road, I won't feel too bad about this roster.
And currently you feel what about this roster?
The worst roster in the league, the absolute worst roster. We were bottom 5 with Cease, but now that Cease is gone, and given our manager is so unproven right now, I've got them at the worst roster unless we magically get defense, which is possible because Luis Robert has defense. But if we're not going to be a heavy defensive team like Arizona Diamondbacks were last year, but they have pitching and defense. It's one thing to have defense, but to have pitching and defense is what wins championships. Hitting, it depends. You can be like the Yankees and have pitching and hitting, but then you have no defense. You need the big 3 to be a complete team like the Dodgers. But if we can just get the defense, that's a good start. You can work your way to the pitching. Hitting, I don't know. Hitting's hit or miss. It just depends on. We don't have a heavy hitter roster.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, and to your point, the Sox were much better with left-handed pitchers than they were with right because the lineup didn't have a lot of balance to it.
Absolutely.
That is something that they need to definitely improve upon, having more balance to their lineup, and that comes with having left-handed bats in your lineup too. They had a lot of switch hitters with Moncada and Grandal, but not enough consistent power from those switch hitters. So I mean, yeah, definitely something to look forward to. But we'll see. I mean, again, I'm gonna have my eye on the system more so than the major league team. I kind of feel like I know what to expect from the major league team. So I'm gonna have my eye closer to see what these guys are doing in AAA, what they're doing in AA. Um, and I'm gonna be looking to see what's up with these pitchers because again, how are you going to get through the innings you need to get through over the course of a very long baseball season with the current rotation pieces that you have? You're going to either need to sign some free agents, which we talked about. You're going to need to bring up some minor league pitchers, which again, we talked about. Or you're going to have to hope that the Crochets and the Tuki Toussaints and the Nick Nestrinis and the Mike Sorokas all have phenomenal breakout years where they're just all lighting it up. They're all going 7 innings, striking out 9, 10, 11 guys and putting up
Oh no, not
ERAs of 2
we
every day.
we've got an analytics manager. They're gonna go 3-4 innings, and then we're gonna have like 2 middle relievers and a closer. That's what this lineup's looking like. It's gonna be Crochet starting 3-4 innings, and it seems like a lot of younger teams. That's kind of the route they're going. They're not, gone are the days where younger teams have a guy out there till 7 innings. It's gonna be. I'll be shocked if Crochet plays past 4 innings. Then middle reliever might be Kopech first if he doesn't start off walking people. Then a second set, and yeah, we're going to see 4 pitchers a game. And I'm actually not mad at that strategy if it wins. But Pedro seems to be an analytics guy. Wouldn't be shocked if he has an analytics approach to the pitching this year. NSL last year. I can see Tanner. I think his name's Tanner Brooks. I can see Tim Hill. Yeah, I can see at least 4, 5, maybe even 6, which I doubt. But at minimum 5 pitchers pitching game 1. Short innings, 3 innings each, maybe 4, and then closing and hope for the best. I'm old school. Give one guy that's hot, let him get 8, 9 innings, bring in a closer. But double middle reliever thing, I can see it happening with this rotation.
160 games, can you do that?
No. But
That's
then
my
again,
point.
they're all pitching short innings. Maybe. I mean, you heard, I don't know if you've been following Clevenger, but I think a big reason why he hasn't been signed yet, I forget the money he wanted, but he was telling teams he didn't want to pitch over like 2 or 3 innings. And I'm like, dude, you're a starter. What do you mean you don't want to pitch over 2 or 3 innings? But Blake Snell, he's another one that I think is demanded. He didn't want to pitch over 3 innings, but he wanted like $40 million a year. A lot of these analytics, MLB is slowly turning into what game management is for basketball at NBA. I think these guys are wanting to pitch shorter to last longer. At least the vets. The younger guys, I just think if you lack the skill to kill the whole game, that's cool. We'll just bombard you with different styles of pitching and hope that kind of evens everything out, not having some elite Pedro Martinez pitcher. It's an interesting thing that's been going on like the last 2 years that I've seen different MLB channels talking about. And like I didn't realize that was a thing, but I know it blew up when the Tampa Bay Rays were in the playoffs, and ironically Blake Snell, like they cut him off while he was hot because analytics said to do so. But apparently that's like the route to go, an analytics route with a lot of younger teams. Not necessarily Moneyball, but their own analytical system.
So, I mean, yeah, they cut him off and they lost that game. So
Facts.
it was a bad decision to cut him off like that. But I mean, yeah, I can see the analytics are definitely important to the White Sox. They have been for a while. But that's just not something that you can maintain throughout the course of the year. You can't maintain having your starters go 2, 3 innings, 4 max, and then hand it over to a pen. That it's not feasible to do over the course of 162 games. Like that's gonna get your block knocked off. Like your rotation has to go deeper into games because if they don't, your bullpen is gonna get taxed and
Facts.
they're gonna get worn out because those guys are only used to throwing 2 or 3 innings. Really 2 at the very most. So if they're going out every single day and they're throwing 2 innings, 3 innings every single day, they're all gonna get tired, arms gonna be dead, and by the time we get to June and July, they're wasted. Like they're all gonna need rests. You're gonna have guys with injuries. You're gonna have guys that are gonna be on 10-day injured lists or end up being out for a whole month because they're just fatigued and they go out and pull something and tear something up. So that's not a feasible plan. They got to find another method to be able to address the weakness in their rotation, because doing that, it's not going to work. That's a recipe for borderline disaster.
I don't disagree.
So ended on a good note. ended on a positive note. Can't just leave it off with all doom and gloom, right?
Right.
So we got we got the shining light for the White Sox is Luis Robert. We got potential prospects that we're going to have our eyes on. Colson Montgomery, like I said, Drew Thorpe, who's the White Sox hitched their wagon to, is to be their centerpiece for the Cease trade. What else should we look forward to?
Cheap White Sox tickets,
Good food.
baseball, good food, potential new stadium. What else? Oh, watching good teams beat the brakes off us. That is a good thing. I'm excited to see Shohei Ohtani over here. I can't wait to see him in Comiskey. What else? What else is? Yeah, there's not a lot of good, but there is some good. And you know what? We're bullshitting, but they might surprise us and come out the gate hot because no one has any expectations for them. So all they have to do is come out the gate hot and at least start off with some wins, and that'll surprise everyone. Because like you said, when they're down and losing, it sucks, especially right away. But what if they do start winning and they build off that momentum and no one understands how they're winning and they just win? It is baseball. There's always a good chance. There's always like two bad teams that just figure it out the very next year. And this could be the next year and they might not go 0-162 like I thought.
Well, again, they're definitely not going 0-162. Let's stop putting that out there, and that energy not real. They're not doing all that.
I'm the sky's falling. I flip so quick. The second they win 2 in a row, I'm going 162-0. That's just how I work. I am the Mr. The sky is falling. We won 2 games in a row. We're gonna win it all. Let's go.
Hey, look, the season opened up next week. Sox play, I think, Detroit. Open up against the Tigers. You can get off to a good start. Tigers aren't that
Absolutely.
good. So,
at all, they're not.
Hey, man, get off to a good start against Detroit. Play well. Show us something. Send Garrett Crochet, go out there, go 6 innings against Detroit, strike out 10 or 11 batters, lead us to a 3-0 lead against the Detroit Tigers. Do that next week, Mr. Opening Day starter. That's what I want to see. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Very possible. I can see that happening.
Man up. Go out there and give me a shutout through 6, strike out 11. That's what I want. Send this to Garrett Crochet. That's what I'm looking for.
All right, everybody, and that's it. And thank you guys for watching another week of the White Sox Did What podcast, hosted by me, Harry, and JJ3. Thanks, guys.
Peace.